We're talking about love. Let's talk about men and women for a moment. In Hebrew, the word for man is ish. The word for woman is isha. What's the letter the man has that a woman doesn't have? He has a yud. The letter the woman has that the man doesn't have is a hey. Yud, hey together we know is one of the names of God. So what do we see in marriage? A man can bring his yud, a woman can bring her hey, and together they can bring God in. If the goal of the marriage is that I'm going to bring my connection with God that only I can have as a man, and you're going to bring your connection with God that only you can bring and provide as a woman, wow, we really have something new. We can have a unity with God like we couldn't have by ourselves. What a beautiful state of existence. But look at this. If people say, look, let's get married, but who needs God? I just want to live a life of pleasure. I want to live a life of money. I want to live a life about me and us and just do what we want to do. Who needs God in the picture? Forget Shabbat, forget Kashrut, forget Tarat HaMishpacha, forget it all. It's all about us and me. I'll do whatever I want to do. Look what we're left with. What does Aish mean? Fire. You see, double fire. What does fire do when it's in touch with another fire? Explosion. Conflagration. Maybe we understand again why there's 65% divorce rate. People aren't bringing God into the picture. What do they have? Two fires. Two selfish human beings that just want things for themselves. They'll burn up. And they burn out. And they're gone. Now, it's interesting that a man's letter happens to be, in this combination, happens to be a yud. A woman's letter is a hey. It tells us something a little bit about men and women as well. A man's letter is a yud. If you notice a yud happens to be the smallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet. It doesn't touch the top of the line. It doesn't touch the bottom of the line. It just hangs there in space. Yud always represents the idea of a thought. An idea. Like a thought. It hangs there. It doesn't touch the top, the bottom. It just hangs. Numerically, Yud is 10. That's interesting. Why? Because 0 through 9 are all natural, meaning we have a symbol that describes them. Once we get to 10, we have to use our minds, so to speak, to construct it. We have to put it together by 1 and a 0. It's called a thought number. Yud always represents the idea of an idea of thought. Now, gentlemen, the vision of a man in this world is to be in thought. That's why men have a greater mitzvah to learn Torah. They have to reach up, so to speak, and bring ideas down. They have to spend time learning the theoretical aspects of Torah, of halakha, of law. They have to sort of reach up and pull ideas down. That's why a man's tefillin goes above his head. It's the idea that I want to connect my head, so to speak, up further and kind of draw ideas down. That's a man's vision. A woman's vision is different. A woman's vision is to be a hay. Now it's interesting. If you look at a hay is really composed of 2 letters. It's a dalet with a yud inside of it. Dalet in Hebrew, in the language, means delet, it means a door. It's the first letter that starts expressing itself in 4 directions: north, south, east, west. It's actually always the symbol of the physical world. The dalet's always a symbol of the physical world, 4 directions. And that's why it means delet, dalet, door. Why is a door the perfect description of the physical world? Is this world the end, or is this the world the doorway to something else? You know, when you go to the funeral sometimes, people will say, this isn't the end. The grave isn't the end, the grave is the beginning, the grave is the doorway. This world is a doorway to another world. It's a prush door le'olam haba, we say. That's why we make a big deal about doorways. What mitzvah do we do on every doorway in our house? Mezuzah. Because we want to remember, every time I go through my doorway, it's a delet, it's the physical world. This world is something which is, this world is a doorway. I'm going somewhere. A door is only there to lead me somewhere. A door is not an end in itself, is it? A door without a room is meaningless. The physical world is a dalet. It's a door. Now look at a hay. A hay contains a dalet and a yud. And what does that mean? First of all, how do you say hand in Hebrew? Yad. What two letters are there? Yud and dalet. That's interesting. What did I say yud represents? Yud represents an idea. What did I say dalet represents? Something physical, the physical world. What does a hand do? It opens the door. It takes an idea and it brings it out into the world. Right? It takes an idea, it brings it out into the world. That's what a yad does. Perfect description. Now look what a woman is. A woman is she's a hay. A woman is this over here. She's a hay. She's a dalid that contains a yud. That's a hay. A dalid with a yud. What's a woman's job? A woman's role in a sort of a cosmic sense is that she's supposed to take a man's idea and make it real in the world. Like in procreation. A man provides an idea, the seed. A woman takes that seed and expresses it out into the world. Which is more important? The idea or the expression into the world? Well, if you don't have an idea, you don't have an expression. If you don't have expression, the idea is meaningless. Obviously, they're both equally important. But a man's vision is the yud. A woman's vision is to be that, hey, to be out there in the world, express the idea out in the world. If a man's job might be to learn the theoretical concept of Shabbos, a woman's vision might be to make that idea so real in the world that I could touch it. There's a home, there's a feeling, there's a taste, there's a smell. You could go into this house and you feel holiness. That's a woman's world. Hear how it works so beautifully in combination? So a man has a yud, a woman has a hay, they combine it, they have God. Let me ask you another question. Let's go a little further in men and women. There's another letter that represents a man in terms of his relationship in marriage. You know what that letter is? It's this letter here. It's called Zion. 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 Did I make that well? A Zion. A Zion is a male letter. Let me explain why. A male letter in marriage. What does Zion mean? It means zan. Zan in Hebrew means to provide, to nourish. A man's job, maybe historically or maybe even today, is to go out into the world and make sure the family has food. Lazun. Zan et ha'olam kulo b'tuvo. A man provides the food. He's zan. He's a Zion. That's a man's vision. Interesting, the first time a Zion appears in the Torah, guess what word it happens to be? It's this word right here. Zera. What does zera mean? Seed. First time you see a Zion in the Torah. Seed. Zera. Who provides the seed of creation? The man. True. Zion is the male letter. What's the female letter in marriage? You know what it is? It's this letter right here. A gimel. Now why a gimel? Gimel actually means gamal, it means camel. Gomel means to give. Gimel means to take your child and stop the child nursing, to wean the child. So let me ask you a question. What's the connection to those three ideas? Gamal, which is a camel. Gamal, which is to give. And Gimel, which means to stop a child from nursing, to stop giving. So here's my question. God, you have an infinite imagination. You could have come up with three different words. Camel, give, wean off from giving. Why does God use the exact same word, which actually what a gimel means? It actually looks supposed to look like a camel, I think, as they say, right? You know? Yeah, not bad. Okay. Why is the exact word that means three things? It means a camel, it means to give, and it means to stop giving. What do the three have in common? Anything? Well, let's just take it the giving aspect. Gamal means to give. Gimel means to stop giving. God, you have an infinite imagination. What are you doing to me? Give me two separate words. Why is it the same word? Let me ask you a question. What's the greatest kindness you can do for somebody? Is giving the greatest kindness you could always do?
No.
If I'm helping my little 4-year-old ride his bicycle. What am I going to do? I'm going to run behind him to make sure he doesn't fall. I want to get him off those training wheels on a 2-wheeler. I'm going to run behind him and make sure he doesn't fall. Am I giving? Yes or no? Am I giving? Yes. If I see my 17-year-old on a bicycle and I run behind her to make sure she doesn't fall, am I giving or am I setting the stage for future psychotherapy? What am I doing? Because you know what the purpose of giving is? The purpose of giving is to give to the point where the person doesn't need you anymore. To create independence. I want to give to the point where I can give the real gift. You don't need me. I've stopped giving. Real giving is to create an independent person. And that's why the Rambam says it so beautifully. The highest form of charity is what? Is to set somebody up in a business. To give where they don't need you anymore. So now we understand why the word gimel, it means to give, and gimel means to stop giving. Because that is the highest form of charity. And that's why if I write out the word gimel, by the way, I'd write it out like this. Gimel, mem, lamed. Which is very interesting because I said, what did I say gimel means? Gimel means to give. Mal in Hebrew means to, like milah, to cut off. Milah, mal. Give to the point where you can cut off from giving. That's real giving. Create independence. Here it works. Very beautiful. Do you see the consistency? So Gimel is a female letter. Because the job of a woman is, the job of a mother is to give and give and give. Man provides the zerah, the seed. The woman then gives and gives and gives, but gives in order until you can cut off from giving, to create independence. Now let me ask you a question. How do you say a married couple in Hebrew? Well, there's one more letter you need to know. There's a letter in Hebrew which is the letter of connection. It's called a vav. It means a hook. It looks like a hook, doesn't it? First time you see it in the Torah, as part of a root word. Vavei ha-mishkan. The curtains, the hooks of the Mishkan. The hooks. Does it look like a hook? Vav in Hebrew means and. It's conjunctive, it's connective. So when vav always means to connect two things together. Vav, it's a hook. So how do you say a married couple in Hebrew? Zug. A Zion connected to a Gimel. Married couple. Design, a coincidence. What do we have? Design. Looks like design to me. Let's take a few more examples. Quick examples. You know, whenever I speak, I always speak about how much God loves us. One time I was speaking about God's love, and a little lady in the back of the audience, she raised her hand and she said, Rabbi, love, love, love. You sound like one of those missionaries in the subway. Enough of this love already. And I said, well, you know, God's love is our message. It's not their message, it's our message. But let me ask you a question. When I say the word punishment, does that make you feel connected to God or distant from God? God's punishment makes you have that warm, fuzzy feeling how much God loves you? Or do you feel kind of, I'd rather stay a little bit away? Which one? Second one. Now, this is an example of how the English language destroys the meaning of really what's happening. What's the word for love in Hebrew?